Welcome to the Horse Talk Show
You never heard of a talking horse?
with your host, Louisa Barton.
I want to be a famous rider. I should like to race.
Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital.
Truth is, I help horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton.
Yeah, baby.
The Larson family has been farming hay in Idaho for generations with a mission to always provide high-quality hay products at a fair and reasonable price. Larson Hay loves to meet new customers while always honoring the ones they already have. Find Larson Hay on the web at larsonhay.com, like them on Facebook, and definitely visit one of their locations. Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and our television broadcast sponsor. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Thank you for joining us this week on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor, Idaho's finest alfalfa. I'm Louisa Barton in the studio this week. Very excited to have a great lineup for you. After this first segment, we'll have Dr. Adam Cayot talking to us about joints. Then we have a very special guest, Dr. Tiffany Atteberry will be here with us for 3 segments, and we're going to learn a lot about the Mongol Derby, which I think is so exciting. There's so many pieces to that, and to what a real adventure, what a challenge, and what an incredible experience to have. And we're going to learn a lot about her journey and her experience with that. So we're very proud of her. It was really a incredible experience to follow on social media, and our community did a great job of keeping up with her, and now we get to share it on the show, so we hope you'll enjoy that. And then we have top reiner Matt Palmer with us in the end of the show to wrap it up for this week. So we got a chance to be over at the North American Reining Stakes. Thank you to Shannon Rafus, and we got a chance to chat to him, so that was really nice, and we get to share those segments with you over the course of the next couple of weeks. So we've talked about the Hobby Horse Equestrian Games, and we're pretty excited. That's presented by Everglades Equipment, a local John Deere dealer, and really should be a wonderful event on October 22nd at the Florida Horse Park. Thank you to the Florida Horse Park and also to Ocala Polo Club for helping us with this event. So this is one of our CEP equine events that we use to benefit the Equine Disaster Fund. And at this event, we're going to have top equestrians teaching people of all ages each one of the sports here: barrel racing, show jumping, reining, horse racing, and a polo match. And after your lesson, you actually get to compete on a stick horse, which is a little less intimidating maybe than being on a horse for the first time. And we'll have ribbons and prizes. We're also going to have an all-breed parade of real horses, vendors, food trucks. It's free admission for all ages. The polo match should be a lot of fun. Ocala Polo is going to help us do a stick horse polo match at the end of the day, and should be a lot of fun. I think we're going to have some stick horse opportunities where you can go and make your own, maybe some pumpkin painting and some other fun fall things going on. But we'll definitely have a meet and greet area for those all-breed parade horses, so you can take some photos with them. And we'll also have a couple of equestrians doing demos in a round pen that Clayton Fredericks is going to provide for us. So there'll be a VIP area, and should be a lot of fun. Should be a great event and very educational. We've got a little video, I think, that we can show you of us playing polo. The Hobby Horse Equestrian Games will be held at the Florida Horse Park on October 22nd. This event is part of the Equine Initiative presented by Piranha, and it's a great way to learn horse sports from top equestrians and compete yourself from the safety of a stick horse. We're seeking businesses who would like to compete against one another in the polo tournament and sponsors for the event. This event will be free to the public and all ages are welcome. Please reach out to Louisa at ocalacep.com if you'd like to be involved. Our CEP team there being really good sports, playing polo, so we can kind of show you some of what we're doing. That was a lot of fun. Ocala Polo Club did a great job putting up with us, trying to learn to play polo for the first time. I just want to shout out for the Heart of Florida Youth Ranch. We've been supporting them and helping them every way that we can. We have adopted Buddy, their Tennessee Walker there, as our foster horse here at the show, and we would really like to encourage you to jump in and help the Heart of Florida Youth Ranch. They have an equestrian program that's amazing. These young people live actually on site in Citra, go to school every day from the Heart of Florida Youth Ranch, and part of their day is to get up in the morning and take care of the horses, and they learn all the important parts of farm maintenance and fences and mowing and feeding and all of that, animal care, and it's really an incredible program. These horses have had a huge impact on these kids who are learning a lot of basic horsemanship skills as well as riding, and Brenda does such a phenomenal job with them, and we've got a couple of them fostered, and Patches would really like to be fostered by somebody. He's 19, she is 19 years old and a mare, paint quarter horse, trusting, quiet and caring. And you can reach out to Brenda at 352-425-0709 if you would like to foster Patches, and it's only $95 a month to foster a horse, and you'll get updates and progress reports, and you also can visit your foster horse a couple of times a year when they have events there at the Heart of Florida Youth Ranch. So if you can help this 501c3 continue with their equestrian program, I think it would be phenomenal. I know that not just the physical part of being outdoors, working with these animals is beneficial, but there's a big emotional part as well for these young people to have this opportunity to be around horses. So if it's something you think you can do, Patches would love to be your foster horse. A couple of other mentions for events. There is a poker run in October coming up, Ride for the Cure. That is the 2022 Alzheimer's fundraiser. They're going to have a camp out and poker ride, and that's October 7th, 8th and 9th, and that is at the Shangri-La Trailhead, which is a beautiful trailhead to ride at, and this is a great cause. This is an annual fundraiser that they do, and great fun, great fellowship, great chance to get out and have a good time. So again, October 7th, 8th and 9th, Ride for the Cure, and you can actually find that and sign up the information. I think they have a page on Facebook as well that you can follow, so, and reach out to them. The information's up there for you on that. So we hope you'll join in. And then Stirrups and Strides, wonderful therapeutic riding organization, another 501c3 that does so much in our community. Very, very wonderful job that Betty Gray does with that group, and phenomenal. And they also do a annual fundraiser for them, and theirs is going to be an urban cowboy night, which is going to be on December the 3rd, and it's going to be at their covered arena in Citra, which is on Highway 318. And their events have always been a great turnout, great fun, and they're going to have a Dolly Parton look-alike contest as well. Diva like Dolly at the Urban Cowboy Night. So it's also a fundraiser. The contest is going to be at 6:30, so put your best Dolly on, all for a great cause. Dolly attire is your choice. Finalists are chosen by the judging panel. Apparently I'm one of them. So I've never judged a Dolly Parton competition before, so I don't know how that's all going to pan out, but I don't know, is everyone going to have a tiny little waist? Probably. So it should be great. There's a $20 entry fee for that. That's the suggested donation, and registration closes for that on November 30th. So we certainly hope you'll come to that. That noise you just heard meant that we are at the end of this segment, so we're going to come right back with Dr. Adam Cayot, and then we will have Dr. Tiffany Atteberry with us. And I'm so excited to hear more about her adventures. I could talk to her for hours. So stay with us on the Horse Talk Show.
This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
With over 70 years of collective experience in the horse industry, Lip Chip was built with integrity by horsemen for horsemen. Introducing the Chip Link system, powered by Lip Chip, where a 15-digit unique ID becomes a key to unlock not only identity, but also health paperwork, owner information, and even photos of each horse. So simple, even a child can do it. The future is here. The future is Lip Chip.
Enhance your horse's performance, fitness, strength, and rehabilitation with state-of-the-art equipment. ETI treadmills offer the finest European engineering, the highest quality filtration, and no chemicals are required. Follow Equine Therapy International on social media or at equinetherapyint.com. Equine Therapy International provides technologically advanced therapy for horses worldwide.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. On the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital in Complete Care. I'm Louisa Barton, host of the show, and we really do have Dr. Cayot for you. We're actually pulling it up for you right now, and we're talking about joints, which is definitely a topic in the show world that we're always interested in, and here it is. Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show and Equus Television at Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. We have our regular weekly vet with us in person, Dr. Adam Cayot, and we're going to talk a bit about joints and joint injections. Dr. Cayot, tell us about horse joints.
Horse joints, my favorite kind of joints. Horse joints. So certainly there's joints all over the horse, just like there are in us. And the thing about it is, horse being the athletes that they are, they tend to be one of the most common causes of poor performance is problems with the joints, and they can have all kinds of issues with the joints. Particularly the ones we typically worry about a lot are the ones involved with athletic performance. Obviously the ones on the legs. There's multiple joints on the legs from the hoof all the way to the shoulder, and all in the back all the way to the hip. There's plenty of joints that we have to address. Certainly joints in the neck and are joints along the spine also can be issues as well. So you can have all kinds of problems. Obviously arthritis, everybody knows about arthritis. That's just bony chains, bony proliferation in the joints.
He agreed.
Yes, exactly. He might even know about it. And that's obviously progression, and it typically that is due to age-related change. Certainly, if there's been some pathology or infection in the joint or whatever, that can cause an early onset of arthritic change. But we're always trying to minimize that, try to push that change as far back as we can, and thus it leads us to maintaining those joints. Those joints can be maintained with supplements and that sort of thing, and that will certainly help. The joint is made up of obviously bone, but on top of that bone is cartilage, and then there's obviously lubricant. There's fluid that's in the joint that helps lubricate the joint, and we try to help both the lubrication that occurs in the joint and then the health of the cartilage, because those are the main focal points of assault, so to speak, on the joint from athletic use. Certainly, just like in people, you can have ligament tears and meniscal tears and things like that can affect the performance of the horse and the soundness of the horse. But most of the time it's just inflammation, in the joint, or what we call synovitis. So inflammation of the synovium and the synovial fluid and everything around the joint that's there. And we can help that. Certainly it's not uncommon for these horses to have their joints injected, just like any athlete. They can have their joints injected, and those issues, that inflammation is certainly addressed by anti-inflammatories, and addressed by products that help with the lubrication that occurs in the joint. When a joint is inflamed, the body produces more lubrication, but the lubrication tends to be of poor quality. It tends to be more watery, less what we call viscous, like oil. It should be more oily than watery, and so we try to help that. There's a lot of products out there. For years we've used steroid and hyaluronic acid, which are components of the joint fluid. Now we're moving into biologicals that we're using, where we have we pull blood from the horse, and we can process that blood and then place that blood into the joints, or the processed product, which is basically a plasma serum type thing that we place into the joints, that's able to scavenge those inflammatory mediators and remove those. I
can speak to that personally.
Yeah.
Yes, my knee.
Your knee?
It's amazing. I had the PRP injections in the scar from my car accident, and wow. Yeah, you didn't do that. Nirvana did that. But I can speak to that, how amazing the after is. I could show you, but I can't. But it's incredible. Yeah. So that is an amazing therapy.
Well, those biologics are kind of cutting edge stuff, and the there's new things coming out all the time, and as we advance in competition down the line, we're trying to get away from some of these traditional medications that do have some side effects and that aren't necessarily great for horses. Steroids aren't great for the cartilage and the overall cartilage health for the horse. So if we can stop doing that, certainly there's still a place for that. I still use it all the time, and I don't necessarily use the biologics all the time, but we're trying to, depending on the situation, do what's right for the horse at that point. But certainly, just like any athlete, those horses need to be maintained. I'm a firm believer in at the Equine Legend products that are out there. Those products work differently. Equine helps with cartilage repair, and then your Legend products work with the lubrication or the fluid that's produced in the joint. So those types of things, and certainly there's a myriad of other oral joint supplements that I don't know necessarily how well they work, but certainly people can see some clinical improvement from those use or the use of those products, and
you say if it's working, use it.
If it's working, if it ain't hurting, use it. That's fine.
That's right.
So there's a lot of things out there, and it's for the athlete, like I said, one of the main issues of lameness are problems with the joints or discomfort in the joint, and it's just a matter of finding out where that problem is, obviously, because they can't tell us, and that can be a little bit of a process, but certainly if you're able to do that, you're able to maintain the overall joint health, you're going to have a successful athlete and one that's able to compete for a long time.
When you do a joint injection on a horse, let's say it's a competing horse that's jumping or racing, is there a length of time after that joint injection before the horse can perform again?
Certainly, yes, there is. That's the short answer. Yes, there is. Now, depending on what sport that is or whatever, they have certain withdrawal times that they're in certain levels that they're allowed to have in the horse. So that just depends on what sport you're in. Just because you're competing in a Grand Prix jumping event, they might have different rules as opposed to the Kentucky Derby or whatever. So certainly you need to be aware, and as a veterinarian you need to be aware of what the prospect is for this horse and what they're going to be competing in, so you can time out your maintenance, your therapy properly, so that you can hopefully avoid some of those the downfalls of having a positive test when you're just trying to help the patient out.
Right, because it is therapeutic and does make the horse feel better, but at the same time you got to be careful about. Last question. Does the use of, and this may be a question you don't know the answer to, fair, and it would be fair if you didn't, but I'm curious, does the use of Lasix or lack of use of Lasix make something show up longer or maybe less time, because there's a flushing obviously with Lasix, and is that potentially something that people should be more aware of with medications, that maybe now Lasix is less used, that perhaps those times may be less?
Well, I don't know that answer. I don't know if that has any effect. I mean, Lasix has a tendency to dehydrate the horse, certainly. Because it is a diuretic, it can dehydrate the horse, which would make me think that whatever blood is there is more concentrated. So if there's anything that happens to be there, any medication that's in the blood, to me, logically, it would be more concentrated or more likely to show up, as opposed to a flushing out, because it's not flushing any of the blood product out, it's just flushing the fluid out that's in the blood. So I would think that you'd be more likely to have a positive drug test or whatever with a horse that's been on Lasix, just to the dehydration factor.
Makes sense. Therapeutics, wonderful for horses, but we definitely want them out of the system well before we compete, right? Very important. Dr. Adam Cayot here at Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, and our broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, DAC Vitamins and Minerals, Seminole Feed Stores, Piranha, TT Distributors, and Midnight Rose Equestrian.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
If you're tired of the rigours of keeping your horse's water troughs clean and free of algae, you need the Drinking Post Waterer, an automatic waterer for horses, livestock and cattle. Field tested for over 40 years. The Drinking Post Waterer is the gold standard of non-electric automatic waterers. Check them out on Facebook or find them on the web at dpwaterer.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Back on the third segment of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our TV broadcast sponsor, Idaho's finest alfalfa. I'm Louisa Barton. We are in the CEP Equine Studios downtown, and we have got a great honour to have back with us someone we've been kind of talking about behind her back for the last couple of weeks, and that's Dr. Tiffany Atteberry, DVM. Thank you so much for coming and being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so flattered.
We've been kind of following you and stalking you, you know, because it's just been such an adventure. But let's kind of backtrack a little bit, a few years, and tell us kind of how you got into horses just as a little girl.
Yeah, so I actually grew up on a quarter horse farm and showed horses in 4-H and some AQHA quarter horse type things, and really, my mom always loved horses, and that's where I got my love of horses. And I knew, I kind of knew I wanted to be equine vet when I was about 8 years old, and pretty much pursued that path. I've always had, I don't think there's been a time in my life I've not had a horse. And so, that's kind of how the horse journey began, since I was very little.
So you always loved them, always knew you wanted to be a vet, and once you graduated from vet school, you actually worked out of state for a couple of years, and then you moved to Ocala to start your
I worked actually in Jacksonville, Florida, when I graduated from UF vet school in 2000, and I worked at equine practice in Jacksonville and stayed there a couple years, and I knew I wanted to come to Ocala. I had actually done an externship at Peterson and Smith and really loved the area. So I came down. I already had a couple classmates here, one in small animal, actually several classmates here, a couple in equine, and they're like, yeah, come down to Ocala. And so I came down and I hung my shingle, and I have been here ever since. Yeah.
So right place to be for sure for horse lovers. So while you've been here in Ocala, you've been pretty much doing a variety of different things with horses, as well as even you and your husband raising some race horses, but not endurance, not that direction until
my Mongol Derby dream came about. Of course, I had some clients that did endurance. I really didn't know that much about it. And when I decided I was going to do the Derby, I'm like, well, I better start actually getting the miles in and doing some training. And lucky for me, I had, several connections. Dr. Doug Shearer, who is very involved in endurance riding, and was a small animal vet. He was a friend, and he's like, oh, let me hook you up. So he hooked me up with Deborah Walker. Another client actually hooked me up with Karen Risley, and those ladies were really just instrumental in helping me achieve my dream. And so they were very generous to let me train with them and compete on their horses. And I learned a lot about endurance riding with them, and also made great friends with them as well.
They're a great community. They really are.
It is. The endurance community is amazing.
They're lovely people.
They are so helpful. And you go to these endurance rides, and everybody is helping each other. And I mean, there's definitely competition, and I'm competitive, and I like that. But really, they've been very, welcome. They welcome people with open arms that don't know about but want to learn about endurance riding.
That's so true, because Michelle Scherer and Heather Reynolds both helped my daughter learn endurance, and both let her ride their horses. So I have to agree with you 100%. They are absolutely wonderful, welcoming, come on and learn and ride one of ours,
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, I don't know too many other disciplines where people are like, hey, come ride my horse and compete it. But one thing about endurance horses, typically people, they do need a string of them because injuries happen and it takes a long time to condition them. So obviously, if you have a competent rider that can come help you train and get some conditioning on a horse, it's easier for them too, because it's a huge time commitment, like any other equine discipline. But it can take a long time to get a horse fit to do an endurance race.
That's true.
So I was really blessed to be in this community, because not only do we have so many places to ride and train, but there's a huge number of competitors here as well.
There really are.
Yeah.
So what inspired you or made you decide, I want to take on something like the Mongol Derby?
Well, so I've always been very competitive, and I've always liked to have goals and set challenges. And I'd had sort of a tragedy happen in our life. We had a house fire back in 2017, and it was, it was sort of, my life was in a bit of an upheaval with that. But that was the actual year I kind of learned about it on social media. And I'm like, I started watching it. I'm like, you know what, this would be amazing. And obviously it just takes a good horse. There's so many elements to be able to compete in the Mongol Derby, not just being able to ride a horse, but a lot of tenacity and an iron will and, some good deductibles, or what am I saying? Logical skills, that sort of thing. So anyway, I decided, well, I'm going to apply for this and see if I, see if I get accepted into it, and it'll give me a goal and something new to do and something to look forward to. So that's what I did.
So you actually applied back, like kind of right before the whole COVID.
I did. So I was actually I applied in 2019. I was supposed to ride in 2020. And I think I actually applied or started filling out in 2018, got accepted in 2019 for 2020, and then COVID happened. So, it was canceled. In 2021, they just knew they weren't going to be able to organize it because of still having lockdown. So I finally got to do my race this year.
So it took you a little bit to get there.
It did, but honestly, it's been great because I have, it allowed me a little bit more time to train and learn more about the sport, and I felt very ready when I went this year, so.
And how about kind of telling your family that you had decided to do this, and what was the reception like with that?
My family they were quite supportive. My husband, I didn't tell him initially. I'm like, well, I'm just going to see how this goes. He knows, that I might do something wacky like this. So I was like, well, I'll just see if they accept my application. And then they emailed me and said, well, we need to know, give us proof that you can ride a horse at speed. They wanted a video of me riding a horse at speed. And, I had some jumper videos where on galloping videos from various and sundry events I'd done. So I sent them that. And then they're like, well, we like you. We liked your answers to your questions. So we're going to we'd like to interview you. So I did 2 phone interviews. It was actually getting ready. I can't remember if I had done the first one or I was getting ready to do the first one. And then I let Scott in on hey, I just to let you know, I applied for this race and it looks like I might get accepted to do it. So he warmed to the idea. He watched the videos and he was like, oh my gosh, you're nuts. And then he's like, what are you thinking? He had that quick moment, and then he got on board pretty quickly after that. So.
And then he was supportive. He probably was of the mindset, well, she's going, so I may as well help her.
Correct.
And support her.
He's like, I can't do a darn thing about it, so I might as well just, if you can't beat them, join them club.
Yes, it was probably a smart move, and it's good to have good support. When you want to do something like that, several times I've said, I really want to do the Mongol Derby, I really want. So I could just imagine, if you said to your family, something I really want to accomplish, that's a big thing.
It is, and it's like a huge, a lot of time commitment away from the farm, and, already I have a job that's very demanding, so it's one other thing that I was adding to my schedule for sure.
Adding to the list of to-dos.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's an incredible thing. I was envious at the same time. It's so ecstatic for you. We have to go to break, but we're going to come right back with the second half of the show, and we're going to hear about being in Mongolia, the steppe, the people, the diet, what it takes to be there, and what it takes to really be a champion, because this is quite a thing to do. So we're excited to have Tiffany with us. We'll be back on the Horse Talk Show in just a minute. Current equine microchips can migrate by up to 30%, causing difficulty when scanning. With over 70 years of collective horse industry experience, LipChip offers a new, more effective method of microchipping, partnering with veterinarians and technology experts to ensure humane and practical microchipping. LipChip was built by horsemen for horsemen. Nowadays, the performance horse industry is in need of both integrity and transparency. LipChip is the future of horse microchipping, with cutting-edge technology functional for every discipline. Find LipChip on social media, and for more information, lipchipllc.com. The future is here. The future is LipChip.
This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now, or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
World-class equine rehab promoting faster recovery is available at the Equine Performance Centre Ocala. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, an underwater treadmill, a saltwater spa, an aquapacer, MagnaWave, a vibration plate, swimming pool, massage and laser therapies. With post-surgical care, memberships, packages and BOGOs, EPC delivers a rejuvenated horse through proven and innovative rehab. Like Equine Performance Centre now on Facebook, and find them on the web at epcrehab.com.
The Larson family has been farming hay in Idaho for generations, with a mission to always provide high-quality hay products at a fair and reasonable price. Larson Hay loves to meet new customers while always honoring the ones they already have. Find Larson Hay on the web at larsonhay.com, like them on Facebook, and definitely visit one of their locations. Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and our television broadcast sponsor.
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show.
You never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this.
With your host, Louisa Barton.
What does it feel like to be in love with a horse?
Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience.
Back in the saddle again.
Now, here's your pretty Louisa Barton.
You're fab. You're switched on. You're a bit of all right. Yes. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
There's actually quite.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Back on the second half of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our TV broadcast sponsor, Idaho's finest alfalfa. On the second half of the show, we have Dr. Tiffany Atteberry here with us. We've been talking a little bit about kind of how she started out in horses and how she always knew she wanted to be a vet, and how she progressed on through vet school and ended up here in Ocala with a practice, and has been involved in a variety of different horse sports, but actually ended up joining up with a group of local folks here who were in endurance, who really helped her to prepare and get ready for this huge challenge that is the Mongol Derby, which is 600 miles of riding across the Mongolian steppe on a variety of different horses that are not horses you've ever ridden before, that belong to the local folks there. So it's quite an undertaking and quite incredible to see this in action. And actually, I believe, Tiffany, doesn't it mimic a 1224 messenger?
Yes, from Genghis Khan.
Yes.
Yeah, his messenger system of communication. So that's kind of what it's based on. So I guess 27. I rode 27 horses in the race.
27.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So 27 horses you've never ridden before.
27 horses I know nothing about, other than just using my skills to hopefully and luck to try to pick out what is going to be a good horse, for that leg. So, because depending on what you were planning on doing that leg, certain horses wouldn't be good candidates. The best race horse isn't necessarily the best one if you got to camp out for the night.
Yes, that's true,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
yes.
oh yeah, for sure.
So how was the selection process? So when you're trying to pick a horse, are you allowed to pick the one you want, or do they pick it for you?
Yeah, so the very first horse is like a lottery. So you randomly get a horse. And my very first horse was it was an incredible horse. That's the one I do believe was like a champion racehorse. He was amazing and rode very well and was so fast. And then from then on, the faster you get to the next horse station, obviously all the horses are there at that horse station, that family's horses. And, if you're there first, you have more to select from, and you decide, you're not supposed to use the translators to help you ask questions. You really have to communicate with the people. Hopefully you speak some Mongolian. I did not, but I had a very good way of communicating. They understand the word humble. And so I would ask for a humble horse. I would also go, so they knew I wanted a fast one. And as far as making my short list of what I would go through, I would look at their feet. That was a huge...
Yes. No feet, no horse.
No foot, no horse. Never so true as in Mongolia. If the foot was long, that horse is not getting used a lot. If the foot's worn down, good.
That was smart,
yeah, that was the number one thing I looked at. I wanted a lean horse, so if it's a fatty, he's not getting a lot of use. I wanted a horse that, if it tried to actually jump over me if I reached out, none of them want petted. They're not snuggly, but if it actually went, crazy if I tried to even reach out, I usually just stay clear of that one. You know, they're shy. They'll shy back. But if they acted, you know, completely freaked out, I usually avoided those. If I knew I was going to be camping, I actually looked for a horse that maybe had some signs of wear and tear. So if he had some white marks on his withers or in the girth area or hobble marks, it's a horse that looks like it's getting used. You know, that's probably a horse that's a using horse. So, you know, you can probably reliably camp out with that horse. So, and usually my intuition was very good. Sometimes not so much. I think I had one horse that was lazy, and I really thought I was killing him during the leg. And most of them, I had some real race horses, and by the standard of like, if I was just going to race, that's fine. But this horse rang up. But you know, for actually like using a GPS system, holding that in your hand as well as like trying to steer the horse and go, you know, that wasn't always, the race horses sometimes weren't good for that. It just really depended on how they were trained. So, but the main thing is like, you know, I feel very comfortable getting on different horses, and having doing the catch riding and endurance has helped.
Yes, it does.
But, and I've been around horses all my life, been riding all my life, so I feel very good just getting on them. And like, the main thing is like, you just got to get them moving forward. I watched a lot of videos on YouTube of just how they start their horses, young horses, and you know, by our standards, it's a little rough, it's a little brutal, but really those horses kind of understand, like, get on and like just get them moving forward, and that will save you a lot of grief.
Yeah, so, once you get going.
Yeah, for the most part. And, you know, almost all of them buck when you saddle them up with the saddle bag. I mean, a lot of them rear and buck. And like, I'm thinking, well, you know, I have some horses at home that would probably do that too. So I didn't really get too weirded out. But if it took like 3 people and like to ear twitch the horse down, like, usually,
yes, and you were like,
no, let's try a different horse. So the video now, that's a horse that's actually running away with me. I'd actually like finally just given up, and we're galloping away.
Going.
I did. I'm like, he was fast, but he was totally out of control. Yeah, and there's a little bit more passive ones.
Were you ever scared of getting lost, even with your GPS?
I wasn't really scared of getting lost. I just was like scared of picking a bad route, you know. So, you know, you're looking at, you're putting in your waypoints. A lot of times, you know, like, well, I'm going to have to cross under a railroad to go. So there's only certain places you can do that. So you need to put that in before you put your next destination in.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, the main thing is like, yes, you want to look at that. You know, you want to look at that GPS, you want to look at the topography, and then you just really want to look at the land in front of you and see what you see and try to pick out the best route. So I like to ride. I wasn't really afraid of, like, a lot of people really like to stick to the roads and go around any sort of elevation, and that didn't necessarily bother me doing the elevation. You know, really the shortest distance between 2 points,
yes.
You know, it's like a straight line.
Yeah.
So if I could do that, even if I knew my horse was going to go in a slower route, you know, those horses are very fit and they're constantly traversing that kind of terrain. So
they're very used to it.
Yeah, they're used to it. So I found like that was advantageous at times to do that, not always just taking the flat road. You know, that was safe.
Yes, right.
But,
now this is your bridle.
Yes, this is the bridle.
The tack, was the tack kind of different to what you're used to?
Well, the saddle wasn't. I actually bought the actual saddle I knew I would be using in Mongolia. So they have a Franco C. Salary makes the saddles that we use over there, and they're a little bit shorter coupled saddles, so they fit the Mongolian horses. And so I had actually been riding in that saddle for 2 years, so I knew what that was important. And we bring our own stirrup leathers, our own stirrups. So some people had fenders and more Western type stuff, and some people had. You'd see about anything, whatever people were comfortable with. And of course they give you the bridle. And so these were freshly made for us, whatever. I don't know what animal this is, but this is like, it still has the fur.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it does. And so this is what we use on each and every horse. And it adjusts in length, like a rope halter does. The bit is a snaffle type bit. And then if you're going to be camping out, you just drop this part out of the mouth and use it like a halter. So that goes under the chin, yeah. And then it has this is like your tie. You can tie them up with this. This is also your quirt, your swisher. You know, this gets them going. And that's actually useful for steering them. So even though it's a snaffle bit, I found that riding them one-handed is what they're used to, and then you can use your rope to like guide them. So if you want them to go left, you show the rope in the right eye, and they'll move to the left. Some of them actually would listen to your legs or shifting of weight, but not always. Some of them you just sort of guided them.
And once you kind of got that figured out, it was much easier, I'm sure. Once you realized, they basically all similar.
The inclination is to try to ride two-handed, but none of the Mongolians do that. So.
Do that. I've got so much more to ask you. I can't believe we're broke again. But we do have to take a break, and we're going to come right back with Tiffany, and got a lot more to ask her.
Okay.
Stay with us.
Perfect.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Palm Chevrolet, and broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Equine Therapy International, Nirvana Medical Spa, the Equine Performance and Innovative Center, Summit Joint Performance, and Equine.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
Nirvana, Ocala's premier medical spa, is leading the way in great skin with all the newest in treatment options, offering prejuvenation for younger clients and rejuvenation for all ages. Nirvana knows you want to look your very best, but we've all seen people with the telltale signs of too much work. We want you to look like you, just better, brighter and younger, with all the newest and best in technology and all in the most beautiful surroundings. Like Nirvana Medical Spa on Facebook and find them on the web at nirvanamedicalspa.com. Become a better, brighter and younger you.
Piranha, your trusted leader in insect control for 50 years. The official fly spray for World Equestrian Center. From the strongest water-based equine spray in the blue bottle to the familiar and long-time favorite in the yellow bottle. Wipe and spray, we've got you covered. If you're looking for effective plant-based fly spray, then look for our Zero Bite in the green bottle. Check us out online at piranhainc.com. That's Pyranha, piranhainc.com, to learn more about Piranha's entire family of products. Piranha, it works.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equine with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equine came to life. Equine, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Louisa Barton in the studio. Been chatting to Dr. Tiffany Atteberry, DVM, about her adventure in the Mongolian steppe. And so far, gosh, it's just been like so riveting and fun. I love it. Something that I've wanted to do, so I think I've lived vicariously through you the last few weeks. How long before the race did you actually have to arrive then?
So I ended up arriving. I was very worried about travel delays, just the state of things now. And my first flight was like canceled as we sat on the tarmac, and I had to change. It started out bad. I camped out, used all my camping gear in the airport in Orlando the very first night. So that was a little training. But I arrived about 5 days in advance. Yeah, so I could acclimate, and then we had training in the Ulaanbaatar, the capital city, like our little meeting about, just the race rules and getting assigned our GPS and stuff. And then weighing our gear, that sort of thing. And then we had we drove out to the steppe for a couple days and had training days, got to use our gear and make sure we were comfortable with using the GPS. And that our trackers were working, because we have the GPS trackers for safety and so that people can follow your dot, as I'm sure people did. So
Yes. There was definitely dot following going on.
I know. I was so shocked. I couldn't believe how many people. I was like shocked when I got back into civilization and got on my social media. I'm like, holy mackerel, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah, everybody was. I think we were all following you. I think it just became like a thing. Like, where is she? Where is she? And then, where is she?
Exactly. Yes. People are like, we couldn't sleep at night. We were following your dot. So it was very cool.
Now, you already talked about you were a pretty fit person already, and obviously you were a runner and all of that, but was there a lot of prepping beforehand to get you more fit?
Yeah, well, just doing the endurance riding and really putting those miles in was, critical. I mean, you really have to get your body used to that, spending that much time in the saddle and doing endurance races where you're going through the vet checks, getting back on the horse. I mean, I think that was really key for me. And also, I do the running, as I was telling you before. Like, I would start running in the afternoons, and I love running. It's my mental break. But suffering,
suffering in this heat. Yes.
You learn to be a little uncomfortable and tolerate a little bit. I think it all goes hand in hand with taking on an experience like that. And the other critical thing was just testing my gear out. And I rode with a backpack and a water bladder, and my secret weapon, because you've all seen all those terrible skin pictures of people with peeling skin and blisters and rashes and chafing, is I actually use wool tights, merino wool tights, like you would wear with a skirt in the winter. I would wear those under my riding tights, and those are very good at protecting your skin and wicking away moisture.
That was very smart.
Oh yeah, I knew, and I'd worn them in the July, competitions in Florida, and I knew that worked really well for my skin, along with other anti-chafing stuff. And getting used to the backpack, and I went through a couple of different water packs, that sort of thing, just to know what was going to work for me and not rub or bounce, because it definitely throws you off to be carrying weight on your back.
Right.
So I did all of my endurance races
so
with
you
those.
Tried kind of like how it's going to really be.
Oh, yes. I
trained
every time I went out on a horse on a trail, I had my stuff on. So
smart.
Yeah, it was very smart. And, the only thing I kind of shifted around on at the end was, before I left, is what about footwear? And normally I ride with paddock boots, Ariat paddock boots, and I, up until a few weeks, I'm like, I gotta try. I ended up going with the lace up Ariat all-terrain boots, because they have a little bit wider foot bed.
Them.
Yeah, and I could wiggle my toes, because a huge thing with endurance riding is your feet go a little bit numb, and you learn to kind of get over that. Unfortunately, in Mongolia, one of the things you can do when you're riding a regular horse here in the States, you kick your feet out of the stirrups and you wiggle your toes and you roll your ankles and, you give yourself a little break. You do that on a Mongolian pony and he's liable to dump you because he's not used to seeing, your feet out. So you can't really, it's not always safe to do that.
No, especially not in a horse you don't know, trying those things.
Oh, yeah, they really, even if you reach out and they just catch sight of your hand, they'll shy away.
So you don't want to do anything out of the ordinary.
You try not to do anything out of the ordinary with them, for sure.
So you're going 600 miles in how many days?
I think I did it in 9 days. Yeah.
And you're stopping every 25 miles for vet check.
Yeah, the vet
to check on the horse. Right?
Yeah. So the between horse stations and is around 30 kilometers. And so there your horse has to pulse in. It has to have a heart rate of 56 within 30 minutes. It has to be sound, and like any endurance race, the quicker you vet in, the quicker you can pick out your next horse. I mean, you can stay at the horse stations and eat and rest, but you're not going to get ahead doing We kept up a very in the front. We kept up a blistering pace, unless we got held up by some horse not pulsing down, or that was. that was, critical to not like shilly-shally around too much at the horse station. So.
And how did you feel as a veterinarian? How did you feel about the vet checks? Did you feel like they were really well?
Oh yeah,
really
absolutely. I mean, like your horses. The horses are, it's fairly easy for most of them to do that. I was pretty careful. Most of the time, I would try to like walk my horse the last kilometer or kilometer and a half. If I was even questioning it, I would get off of them and like loosen my saddle up and drop the bit out of the mouth, and just try
a break. Yeah,
just try to get them relaxed so that they pulsed in, quicker. And so the vets they have a great team of veterinarians, and actually the management of the ride, like that was. Oh, it was so nice sometimes. You would have, if you'd have a tough leg and you would like come into the horse station, you'd be greeted by these people that were encouraging you. And so that was important, you know, and it really made you feel good. And so, most of the horses did quite well with it. And so onward and upward to your next mount.
So then throughout this 9 days, you're out there in the steppe, and you're in a country you've never been in before, with people you don't know, riding horses you don't know.
Correct.
So this is like a whole different change of lifestyle for you, from what you know to this adventure. When you're staying out there, what are the accommodations? And as you're getting to nightfall, I think there's a time that you have to stop, right? Like
yes,
6
you do.
Or something.
Well, it started out at 6, and then they realized they weren't going to get the race done in a timely fashion, so they gave us an extra hour to ride. So you have a couple options. You can camp out with your horse, like literally camp out. And the key with that is your horse needs to be provided for. So, if you're going to camp out, you need to be where you can water your horse. I camped out one night and I originally ended up stopping at like a well house, and like after like some shenanigans to get the door open to the well house and like making a cord for the bucket to go down in the well, I was able to get my horse water and, hobble him. It was a good horse. And it was raining, so I thought, well, I can stay in this well house. I hope I don't roll in the well in the middle of the night. But then we vetted in fine. The vet came and found us via the GPS, and vet checked my horse. He's like, that's great. He's like, but actually race management says it's a lone woman. We don't want you staying here by yourself, so go back and camp with a couple other riders. So I ended up doing that. And that, we literally just stayed on a hillside, in the mountains. Or you can stay with families, or you can stay at the horse stations. And staying with the families is obviously very unique, and it's
very unique.
Oh, it's awesome.
Hold that thought. Okay. I've got more questions about that. So we were going to bring you Matt Palmer, but we've got more questions for Tiffany. So while we have her here in the studio, we're going to get Matt for you next week instead. So forgive us, but this is so interesting. There's so much more to learn. We'll be back on the Horse Talk Show in just a minute.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Palm Chevrolet, and broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Equine Therapy International, Nirvana Medical Spa, the Equine Performance and Innovative Center, Summit Joint Performance, and Equine.
Hi, I'm Alan Davies with Equine Therapy International. Today we're at Engineered Equine Performance, celebrating the new saltwater chilled treadmill. This particular chilled equine saltwater treadmill is a game changer. As you can see, the finest materials are used. The filtration system, coarse, fine filtration, no chemicals. We use UV, ozone, combination of filtration to keep the highest water chemistry standards. Being a saltwater unit, only the finest stainless steel and materials are used. That's important when it comes to longevity and cost of service over the life of the unit. This unit also has integrated massage jets with fine bubbles and coarse air bubbles for the therapy. The control system on this is Siemens industrial grade, top of the line technology, straight from Germany, but also serviceable here in the US.
World-class equine rehab promoting faster recovery is available at the Equine Performance Center Ocala. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, an underwater treadmill, a saltwater spa, an aquapacer, MagnaWave, a vibration plate, swimming pool, massage and laser therapies. With post-surgical care, memberships, packages and BOGOs, EPC delivers a rejuvenated horse through proven and innovative rehab. Like Equine Performance Center now on Facebook and find them on the web at epcrehab.com.
This show was brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
This show is brought to you in part by Summit Joint Performance, promoting a healthy, thick synovial fluid, decreasing inflammation in the joints and improving the cushioning properties of the cartilage pads. All age horses can benefit from Summit Joint Performance.
Maria Lacasse of Midnight Rose Equestrian's background is in natural horsemanship and dressage principles, with a main focus on maintaining a balance of communication and correct biomechanics between horse and rider. Come to her farm, or she'll come to yours. Allow Maria to help you and your horse to unwind and balance to increase performance so that you can both be the best you can be together to build a lifelong partnership of success. Maria Lacasse of Midnight Rose Equestrian is a graduate of the Equine Natural Movement School for Equine Structural Integration and a Florida School of Massage graduate. Find Midnight Rose Equestrian on social media and on the web at midnightroseequestrian.com and book your massage for your horse and you right away.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Back on the final segment of the Horse Talk Show this week, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our broadcast sponsor, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dr. Tiffany Atteberry, DVM, and it's been such an incredible, we just rolled segment in because there's just so much to learn. This is the world's longest and toughest race, and something that you had never done before, but you just had this desire to try it and to overcome, and you certainly did. Not only did you do that, but you were in the first 5 riders to come in, and actually it was 2, and then you, so actually third really as far as...
The bronze.
Yes, the bronze, this is the medal.
That's the medal,
for third, which is really amazing out of 45 riders. Really, congratulations, really incredible.
Yeah.
And quite an adventure. And this is also a scarf that they
anybody
give
who
you.
Finishes, they give those, and they give you a sip of the fermented mare's milk, which I actually had been offered a lot during the ride. So, and a beautiful green. I don't know. Everybody gets a beautiful robe. I don't know if it's silk or satin, that they adorn you in for the awards ceremony. So it's really quite special.
Experience.
It was. I mean, honestly, anybody who finishes or even tackles it is, they're like.
First of all, they're tough.
They're tough. Yeah, they're amazing. I was actually one of the older competitors. There were lots of 20-year-olds, but if you look at the stage there. We're all well over 35, quite a bit older, so that maybe goes to show you about having a little life experience.
Yeah, can definitely help you on the journey.
Yes.
So we were talking a little bit about the option of either camping or being with a family.
Yeah, so you basically, in Mongolia, you don't, first of all, if they don't have a dog, which most of them do, so the dog will alert that you're coming up on the, to their gur. But it's customary just to walk in. Thank goodness I didn't have to do that. I thought that would be so odd, how different. Most of the time they would have a dog that barked, and so they would be alerted. Or you could call out hello, sanbano, which is hello. Mm-hmm. And I actually had a little letter that a friend of mine's sister who teaches in Mongolia, she had translated into Mongolian that I could present to the families, saying, I'm in this race, and can you take care of me and my horse for the night? And they're such gracious people. So can you imagine somebody riding up to your farm or your house and saying, hey, can you take care of me for the night and my horse?
Here. He does that.
So, it's amazing. I did get turned down though. I was riding with the 2 other ladies, and it was a single guy, and he was probably feeling quite overwhelmed. But he he guided us to his neighbors, and they were gracious enough to keep us and feed us for the night.
And what did they feed you?
Okay, so the typical Mongolian diet, you're going to have mutton or goat or some sort of noodles. And so I remember, and you're in a calorie deficit with all this riding and stuff. And I remember just looking at this lady's, like, she has this big pot. She's cooking like this noodle soup, and there's just like this goat leg floating around in it. And just like it was so anatomically correct. I'm like, I'm so hungry. I cannot wait to eat these noodles and this goat leg. So, yeah, your perspective on things changes when you're very hungry.
When you're in survival
and they
mode,
don't, they don't use salt, and there's really not any green vegetables. So you might get carrots or potatoes and some fried rice. There's lots of fermented like cheese curds and odd things. I kind of avoided that sort of thing, but the fried rice and the noodles and the goat leg and the little meat pockets and stuff I was all about. So
you carried some on you?
Yeah, I took so when I endurance race here, I usually keep like mixed nuts, like little packets, and almond butter. So I had some of that, but I only could carry 5 kilograms of weight, so I didn't have a ton of food with me because I knew I'm not real picky. Electrolytes were really important, so I had those, and of course all my other gear that I needed to, do the Derby. But for the most part, just, tolerating the food. I didn't really think about the food other than just its fuel. But I was really craving a salad and craving sweets when I got done. And I'm still hungry. I still feel like I'm like starving.
You're still catching up.
I am. I'm still catching up. I'm enjoying eating.
So you had one time you got stuck in a bog.
I did. That happened so quickly. It was like a very Scooby-Doo moment where like they fall in quicksand. It was just like that. I didn't, the rider I was with, we were kind of leading. We were 3 or 4 of us, and we were kind of riding together, and all of a sudden, like, I see his horses, like, careening towards me, and, I'm like, what is going on? And this horse is, like, sunk. His horse is sinking, and mine starts sinking, and before I know it, like, my feet are on the ground. Like, that horse is up to his belly, and so I was able to hop off, and luckily, it was firm enough that us as riders, we didn't sink in it. We were able to walk out and then just sort of, let our horses struggle out of it. It happened very quickly. I did not see the bog. There are areas that look boggy. This particular one, you couldn't really see it. So surprisingly, it was just, there it was happening. So that was a bit of, it could have been a very bad moment. Yes. Yeah, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So
were you scared?
I didn't have time to be scared.
You didn't have time to be scared?
No, I didn't. And the big thing too, this is what I thought I would be scared of, is there's so many holes. There's like marmots, which are like little rodents, I guess, that, kind of like a groundhog. So there's holes everywhere. There's foxholes. And there's also these other little critters that are like gerbils or whatever. There's holes everywhere, and your horses are galloping. And so the horses can go, and they'll step in the hole, and like they recover very quickly. And like as long as you're sitting up and you kind of give them their head, they can go at a gallop. It doesn't faze them at all. And so you kind of learn to like start riding that a little bit. I did have a horse that fell down when I was galloping it. His foot went in a marmot hole, and then when he went to catch himself, his other foot, like the ground just came out, and he just ended up like somersaulting. And again, it happened so quickly. I sort of somersaulted over his head. My reins were caught up in his legs, and the horses are used to being hobbled, so he didn't try to pull. He thought he was caught. So I was able to like kind of recover and hold him and get back on him. It happened. So I walked him a minute just to make sure he was not hurt, but he was fine.
He was probably used to that sort of thing. He was
exactly.
like, onward we go.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, oh my goodness, that could have been, you're always thinking, oh my goodness, that could have been a disaster. And then, of course, the famous rearing horse photo, that horse, that horse did get me off after like the third rear. He went sideways and I went off of him. But he didn't want to be held by the herder, and the herder was kind of reluctant to let him go. And when I went to get back on, where the translators and the vets are like, telling him to let it go so she can get going. And that horse it was a great ride. He was an awesome horse. He just
wanted to be let go.
He wanted to be let go, so he didn't appreciate, he had nowhere to go except straight up in the air. So, but he was a good horse.
Your greatest kind of takeaway from this for anybody who's thinking about doing it?
Yes. So, what I have to say is, that the biggest thing I took about it, which I think is like the most unexpected and life-changing thing, was like I really felt 100% present in what I was doing, and like it made me realize how distracted we are, and even as focused as I can be as a vet, you know, and have tunnel vision, like there's always background noise. And with this, it was like just complete survival and focus on what I was doing, and it was very peaceful. And also just gratitude, you know, to my body, to the people that were helping, to the Mongolians, to the horses. So it was
Great
an amazing
adventure.
experience. Yeah.
A great adventure.
Yeah.
Tiffany, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was so awesome.
Oh,
that we
thanks
got
for
to
having me. Yeah.
we got to share that and to learn about that. We were certainly living vicariously through you.
Perfect.
Dr. Tiffany Atteberry, DVM, fantastic job. Congratulations. And whether you're in Ocala, Marion County, the horse capital of the world or not, happy horsing around. Till the same time next week.